Hello, welcome to Mental Health Hour. I'm Dr. Tapo. I am here to talk to you, share with you about mental health. I hope you're well. I hope your loved ones are well. I hope this month of September, where I think the date today is the 10th. So I hope the month has been going well so far. I like when the fall comes here in Canada. The leaves start turning beautiful hues of yellow and orange, and for me it just means Christmas is around the corner. And Christmas, I love Christmas. So I hope this month of September is going well for you so far. I hope this week is going well so far, and I hope the year has been good to you. We are in the last half, quickly approaching the last quarter of 2024, and it feels like this year has just like flown by so quickly. And I hope it's been a good year for you so far. I really hope you've been blessed in whatever it is you've endeavored to do. New beginnings, doors opening, all of that as we start to look towards the end of the year. Um, as a reminder, the Mental Health Hour is for education and awareness only. It does not replace a proper consultation with a qualified healthcare practitioner, healthcare physician, therapist, licensed or registered therapist or social worker, psychologist, wherever you are, wherever you're from. Our hope is that by listening in, engaging in this hour, you get the information you need to make the right decisions for yourself, for your loved ones, for your well being, for your mental health. Call us, text us, Love Bay 437-778-3299, 437-778-3299, or you can email infolovebay@gmail.com, info, INFOLUVBAY@gmail.com. Now, last week we started talking about stress. The week before, we were talking about what are called comorbidities, which is when you have two or more chronic conditions that you are suffering, that you are experiencing, that you are aware of. A lot of us are sometimes suffering and we're not sure what is causing our fatigue, causing our high blood pressure, causing our loss of memory, our low feelings, our poor appetites, our insomnia, all those things. So I always encourage you, if you can, go for a regular checkup. They'll do your bloods, they will measure everything, and you can catch anything before it's gone too far, before it gets to a place where it's more challenging and difficult to treat. So that annual physical is very important. I know culturally, a lot of us, we don't go to I was reading something recently, and the writer was saying, and they were talking about why it's important for physicians, our doctors, our general practitioners to understand who we are, our backgrounds, where we come from, and all of that. And one person in this setting where we were having this discussion on how race, gender, age, even maybe your sexuality, how those things might impact your health outcomes. And somebody raised the very important point that because historically, like for some of us Black people, people of, I'll say, disadvantaged or marginalized backgrounds, we don't go to the doctor unless we're knocking on heaven's door. Then we'll actually, but if we are feeling a pain in our shoulder, in our back, in our knee, wherever it is, we tend to ignore it, we brush it aside. Like, we can go for weeks and then months, and then by the time it's absolutely killing us, it might be more challenging to treat, and it has done more damage. Because if you imagine, if you have an issue in your back, your body can feel the pain, which you are ignoring and brushing aside and dismissing. But because your body can feel that pain and it's impacting your nervous system, it's impacting your body, somehow your brain and your body start to compensate. So it's like if you hurt one leg, you start to put more weight on the other. And the longer you're putting more weight on one leg, you are disadvantaging and increasing the risk of that leg that you're putting a lot of weight on to get injured. And it's like that if we're not doing our physicals. So this, I don't know if it's an attitude, if it's a cultural thing, I don't know what it is that makes us nurture and nurse our pain until it gets to the point where it's unbearable. Then we're looking for help. And so this person was saying, and she was an indigenous person, and the history of healthcare and indigenous people here in Canada has just been really, really horrible and oppressive. So indigenous people won't say, oh, I woke up today with a toothache, let me go to the doctor or let me go to the physician. They will wait until that toothache almost has them in the grave. Then they will get up and go seek help. And I think Black people tend to do that as well as some other cultures and other ethnicities. And we really shouldn't do that. Prevention is better than cure. So having that annual physical is important because it can prevent a lot of things that can get out of hand the longer we sit on them, the longer we neglect getting the help that we need. So all this to encourage you, don't ignore any little niggling pain. Sometimes, yes, of course, maybe something, maybe you stepped wrong on your pillow or whatever, and after 2 days, it's done, it's gone, you're grand. But if it's been around for 2 weeks, go see a physician. Like, don't wait. And especially if it's something, I'll say, that is related to your vital organs, your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, all of that, your digestive system as well. And then chronic severe headaches, especially if you have not had a history of migraines. But even if you have, go to a physician, get assessed, get the treatment you need. Prevention is better than cure. Okay. So last week we started talking about stress and some highlights from that. Stress is not your friend. Do not put yourself deliberately in stressful situations, claiming, I like the stress, I like the pressure, it makes me work quicker, it makes me do this. And no, do not put yourself in stressful situations on purpose, because life itself will bring you lots of stressful situations. And on top of that, you're banking stress like you're trying to gain interest on it. No. Manage the stress in your life. Anything you can control, anything you can prevent, anything you can address immediately, do that. It is not admirable, it's not heroic to be nurturing stress, to be looking for stress, to be taking more stress on yourself. Some of us don't know how to say no. Some of us don't have boundaries in our relationships and all of that, which we should, because when we neglect these things, which again are preventative, we find ourselves in stressful situations because we are not managing our lives and our stress well. And we said Once you've had stress for a long period of time, we're now talking about chronic stress. The problem with chronic stress is it can usher in anxiety, depression, other mental health issues, as well as physical issues. We talked about chronic headaches. We talked about muscle tension, stomach ache. It can even impact the functioning of your heart, because one of the symptoms, the physical symptoms of stress, is rapid breathing, elevated heartbeats, fast heartbeats. You're sweating, you're shaking, you're dizzy. And when your body is doing all of that, your organs, including your heart, have to compensate. And the more you're putting your heart under those conditions, the more you are likely to develop chronic health issues. It's like when you're trying to lose weight, or when you're trying to figure out if your body is healthy, they do a stress test, right? Like when you go to the gym, you're signing up, they're selling you that very, very expensive gym membership. And they'll say to you, oh, we'll give you a free physical test if you sign up for a 12-month membership. And there you go, paying $600 for a gym membership, and you only go 3 times. I digress. So they'll throw in that fake physical test. The test itself is not physical. The free part is not fake. The free part is. So they'll throw in this physical test, and one of the things they do is they stress out your heart. They want to see if your heart can take that pressure, that stress. So they have you running on a treadmill or doing certain things that elevate your heart, right? Some of us, our stress elevates our heartbeat and all of that. So imagine you've been carrying around stress that is causing this for a long period of time. You end up with heart problems for sure. So you want to manage your stress. You want to address it quickly and effectively. Other indicators of stress: frequent urination, change in appetite. You might find yourself eating more or eating less, which impacts your weight, which impacts your health, which impacts your intake of nutrition. Because if you're not eating enough, your body may be at a deficit. You're malnourished or undernourished. If you're eating too much, nobody ever eats too much broccoli because they're stressed. It's usually sweets, it's usually alcohol, it's usually things that are not good for us. If it was that I'm really, really stressed, so I'm eating more broccoli, I'm really, really stressed, so I'm eating more spinach, I'm so stressed, I'm eating more fruit and vegetables, that would be great. But those are not the things we reach out for when we are trying to eat our stress. It's often things that put us at risk of so many health issues. So we need to address these things quickly, effectively, efficiently. Trouble sleeping, which we've talked about before. Insomnia is not something we brush away. It's not something we must ignore. We have to make sure that we're sleeping enough, and not just that we're sleeping enough, but also that we're actually feeling rested in the morning. Some of us can sleep 12 hours. We're tossing and turning, nightmares, all of these things. You wake up in the morning, you're still not well because your sleep quality is impacted. If you've been having trouble sleeping, that is more than enough reason to go to the doctor. Again, some of us, whether it's cultural or whatever it is, we don't think a lack of sleep or troubled sleep is something to go to the doctor. And I understand here in Canada, in some ways, we're privileged in that our health care is free. As in, we don't pay dollars every time we go see the doctor, but trust me, we pay for it in other ways. We have a really terrible healthcare system. We have really terrible politicians when it comes to our healthcare. I digress. But my point is, I do understand that in some places, every visit to the doctor is a lot of money. I am not taking that for granted. But if you're having trouble sleeping, seek help, seek advice, even Google it. What are some healthy ways I can improve my sleep quality? Most of us have access to Google. Home remedies for better sleep. They might tell you lavender tea, chamomile, other home remedies that might help you get better sleep. Some free tips from me: turn off your electronics at least an hour before your bedtime. So don't take your laptop into bed with you, your phone. Put that away. Maybe read a book, listen to some music, something that calms you down and lets your mind begin to wind down. Make sure your room is sufficiently darkened. The biology of that is, when it's dark, you notice, like, even for those of us where I grew up in Zimbabwe, like the sun shines more or less the same all year. So we tend to have our sunrise and sunset kind of at the same time. So one of the things, when I first moved to Canada, like, the sun in Canada, especially in the summer, it can set way after 9 p.m. and you'll find you're still awake, because our bodies work with it's I think, if I remember my biology correctly, it's called the circadian rhythm. I think I might be off, but our bodies function with the rest of nature, right? Just because we're human beings and consider ourselves top of the food chain and all of that, it doesn't mean we're removed from nature. Just like when the birds start singing in the morning, we start to wake up. When it starts getting dark outside, our bodies start to produce more melatonin, which calms us down and helps us to sleep. More and more people are taking melatonin supplements because our bodies are so out of tune and so out of whack. Those hormones, melatonin hormones that we need to calm us down, get us into that place where we can drift off to sleep naturally, that has been so messed up, right? So why you want your room sufficiently darkened, your body responds to that. When a room is bright, you're looking at your phone at its highest bright level, your laptop, you have your TV in your bedroom, it's bright. The mind, the body cannot fall asleep naturally like it's supposed to. So sleep hygiene, as we call it, is ensuring that all the necessary elements that calm our minds and our bodies down and prepare them for rest are in place. So clean sheets and pillowcases. Wash your sheets once a week. If you have to push it, wash your sheets at least every 2 weeks, at most, I'll say. But don't go like a whole month, 2 months, and you have not washed your sheets. Your body knows what's up and it will not be comfortable. Sufficiently darken your room. Turn down anything that is bright, that is loud, that causes your mind to be racing and active, when your mind should be calming down and dozing off. So turn off your electronics an hour before bedtime. Don't bring them into bed with you. Put them away as much as possible. Like, honestly, if you have a TV in your bedroom and you're having trouble sleeping, I strongly encourage you to take it out. TVs should be in your living rooms, your entertainment areas, not in your bedroom where you sleep. You go to sleep, the TV is there, and sometimes you doze off and the TV is still blaring in the background, the lights are flashing. Your mind is not resting. So I really encourage you, if you have sleep problems, take your TV out of your bedroom. Don't bring your laptop, your phone into bed with you. Try and enjoy all your entertainment in a different room. When you come to your bed, it's to lie down and fall asleep. Some of us start doing our work, thinking and planning and doing all sorts of things in bed. You need to give your mind that transition from busy, busy, busy to slowing things down, calming down, and getting ready for bed, getting ready to sleep. So these are some of the things that can help with some of that stress management. Stress and insomnia, stress and poor sleep go hand in hand. So really, 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 really practice sleep hygiene, right? Diarrhea is another symptom of chronic stress and fatigue. You're always feeling tired. Even on the weekend when you did absolutely nothing, you're tired. You can spend the whole day on your couch, you're tired. Stress can do that to you. There's actually what is called chronic fatigue syndrome, and that is usually comorbid, or people who have depression and other mental health disorders are at higher risk for chronic fatigue syndrome. Insomnia also comes with chronic fatigue syndrome. It's not a given, but if you go to the doctor, they can properly assess you and help you figure out a healthier lifestyle. This is all about a healthy lifestyle. And you cannot, like, a stressed, healthy person is an oxymoron. That doesn't happen. If you're chronically stressed, you're not healthy. You can do all the running you want. You can exercise all you want. You can eat every vegetable and fruit out there. You can be a vegan that practices this and that. But if you are chronically and always stressed, you are not healthy. You can anything else, but as soon as stress becomes a factor in your life, you have canceled out that healthy, right? You are no longer healthy. And too many of us, unfortunately, are stressed too much all the time, and it's not good for us. So long-term stress, if we don't address it, can lead to hormonal dysfunction. So your hormones stop acting right, stop functioning right, which then impacts your sleep, your digestion, your immune system, your body organs, everything becomes impacted. And this is just from stress. So again, I sometimes, I'm in certain places chatting to certain people in different contexts, and I'm hearing someone wearing stress like a badge of honor. Oh my goodness, I'm so stressed. The stress in my life. And they're preaching this gospel of stress. And I'm like, that's not a good thing. It's not worth bragging about, because you're essentially unhealthy and need to make some really crucial, critical lifestyle changes, because it catches up with you. It absolutely catches up with you. One of the things I said last week is one indication that someone might have chronic stress is a thicker middle. If you have a big belly, a big tummy, you don't drink, you don't, I don't know, eat too many carbs, whatever. But one of the things is, when you have a lot of stress, like we're talking about hormones, right? Cortisol is one of the hormones that is said to increase due to stress. And cortisol is not good for your heart. And one of the symptoms that physicians will check for is your circumference, right? How big is your tummy in proportion to the rest of you? And those with a bigger tummy tend to have a higher risk of heart disease, tend to probably have unhealthier lifestyles and chronic stress. So examine yourself, analyze your lifestyle. I said last week, in the morning when you wake up, before you jump out of bed, grab your phone, get on TikTok, respond to your messages from people back home telling you that grandpa's cow died and we need money to buy him a new one, whatever it is, right? We wake up in the morning and immediately we're busy, we're dealing with this and that and that and that. Before you do that, when you wake up in the morning, did I sleep well? Am I feeling restless? Sorry, am I feeling rested? Any pain in my body? How's my back? How's my neck? Any headaches? Wiggle your toes, just kind of get out of bed, do a little bit of stretching, and then start your day. Don't jump into things without actually checking in with yourself. Same thing when you're going to bed. Just look at your day. How was today? Was there a lot of stress? Was there any crisis or strife that I'm carrying into bed? And be mindful, right? We've talked about mindfulness before, which is bringing your mind into that moment you're in. So you're not thinking about the 200 things you have to do tomorrow and the rest of the week and the rest of 2024. You're thinking about, now I am relaxing, I am getting ready to sleep, I am releasing my mind from stressors, and just go through that inventory of releasing yourself and bring yourself into the moment so your body, your mind can start to relax and prepare for bed. Some of us were busy, 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 busy. We jump into bed, we're still on our phone, we're waiting for sleep to come, but we get into the YouTube rabbit hole and we're watching this and this short and this video and this video. The next time we look up, it's past midnight. If you're like me, when my body tells me it's time to sleep, if I ignore that, I might as well forget it, because I won't sleep after that. And if I should finally fall asleep, I wake up at the same time every day. Even if I fell asleep at 2 a.m., by 5, I'm awake. So it's better for me when my body tells me, usually at around 10 p.m., that it's time for bed, that I go to bed. Because if that moment passes, because I'm busy, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, guaranteed I'm going to wake up the following morning on very little sleep and not rested. Learn to listen to your body. It's telling you something. Your body knows when it's time for bed, but we don't want to listen to it. And then we complain about lack of sleep, trouble sleeping, and all of that. Okay, so that's a recap of our discussion around stress. And one of the things I said, that stress and anxiety, chronic stress, consistent or persistent or prolonged periods of stress can lead to mental health disorders like anxiety, like depression, panic disorder, and other things. So stress and anxiety often occur or come together. Remember, we talked about comorbidity, and stress is a health problem. It is. Just because we all like to claim we're stressed, blah, 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 we then want to act like it's nothing. It is not nothing. It is a very, very serious issue. And if you have been stressed for 2 or more weeks, go see your physician. If you can't afford to, or you have no access to a physician, Google it. What can I do to reduce my stress? Come up with a plan for yourself and start doing it. Alcohol is not the answer to stress. Marijuana is not the answer to stress. A cigarette is not the answer to stress. And food is not the answer to stress. Stress is usually resolved chronic stress by changes in your lifestyle. And often that means cutting back on those things. I've had here in Canada, because marijuana is legal from the age of 18 upwards. And of course, we do have lots of young people below 18 who constantly smoke. But since it's legalization, um, you can probably find a cannabis store like at every corner where I live, at least. Like, honestly, I can walk out the door and point out 3 or 4 of them just within my neighborhood. So there's a ready supply. And the thing is, it's not too expensive. And a lot of young people are smoking a lot of marijuana. And then they're suffering from mental health issues because of the marijuana, but they've been told it's herbal. They've bought into these lies and myths that it's herbal, it's good for you, it has no impact on your mental health. All of that is lies. Same thing, alcohol is legal, so are cigarettes, but those are not things that are good for your health. Some time ago, they were telling you, oh, red wine is good for you. You should definitely lots of red wine in moderation and in small quantities, maybe. But the same people who were saying that recently, or it was last year or so, came out and said, like, most adults in Canada need to cut back on their alcohol consumption, including wine. Recently, I was talking to someone from the business community. Here in Niagara region, we have a lot of vineyards. The wine industry is huge here. Agriculturally, we have a lot of vineyards and all of that. And this person was saying more and more young people, Gen Z, don't drink wine the way, I'll say, millennials and Gen X and the boomers were drinking wine. Gen Z loves the hard liquors, vodkas, tequilas, these hard liquors. I was at an event where one Gen Z strolled up and she was drinking tequila from a can. We're talking 29% alcohol. And she was drinking this at like 2 in the afternoon on a Saturday. And you know, that's just the beginning of her day. And her day is beginning with 29% alcohol. By the time they go out for dinner and they're now hanging out or going to the club or wherever it is they're going to, by the end of that day, how much alcohol would she have ingested? We are very, very casual about things that are impacting our health, impacting our relationships, impacting society, and we need to be honest about this. So more young people are drinking the hard liquors, whereas older generations drink way too much wine. Like, I've known people that one person, oh, I'm home today. I went by the wine shop and I got 2 nice bottles, and by morning, 2 nice bottles are gone. One person. Because I'm home, I'm just relaxing, I'm chilling for the evening, and you put away 2 bottles of wine by yourself. That is unhealthy. And I'm not saying this from a moral standpoint. I'm saying this from a health perspective. Alcoholism tends to sneak up on people because we have normalized too much alcohol in our day-to-day. And it's not healthy. So young people out there are drinking just copious amounts of hard liquor, like really 35% alcohol, and they drink it like they're drinking frizzits or ice pops. 35% alcohol. I have seen this. Young people, 20 years old, 21, 22, and that's their daily thing. Or they'll say, I only do this on the weekend. I don't drink Monday to Thursday. That's called binge drinking. And that is also unhealthy. And not good for your body. So I'm not even saying this from a moral standpoint. This is about your health. And what we don't realize is a lot of us are trying to deal with our stress through the misuse of alcohol and drugs. And the more alcohol our body becomes accustomed to, the more we need to drink to get the same impact. Think about the first time you drank. It was probably like those coolers with like 4% alcohol, and just half the can had you stumbling. Now half a can is like your own spit. It does absolutely nothing to you. You now need at least 35% alcohol, 4 drinks of that, and then you feel like, oh, okay, I'm starting to get a buzz, because our bodies adjust, and our bodies adjust because they're trying to cope. You keep putting things in, they try and adjust to keep your body functioning at a certain level. So the more you're increasing your intake, and the more you're forcing your body to make these adjustments, the more it's impacting your organs. I've spoken before about, because I will never forget this woman ever. She was from South America, had moved to Canada with her family. Now, I don't know if she drank as much in South America, but when she came to Canada, she started drinking like just really, really bad. And why she was drinking so much was stress. Anybody who has moved to Canada or moved to a new country, immigrated, even a new city or a new job, there's always an adjustment period. And normally, when you move to a new country, you're talking at least 5 years before things start to normalize for you. And so, because they had just moved, stress and all that, she started drinking. And before long, she'd wake up in the morning and she's shaky, and she'll tell herself the best thing is to drink. So she'll drink from morning till night. When I met her, her physician had told her she didn't have long to live, because she had completely destroyed her body, her liver. Her organs were shutting down. Nothing was working like it should anymore. And that was only from alcohol, from alcohol. And it came to a point where even detoxing there was no point anymore. And she tried. And her family got to a point where they rejected her. She had children who felt she chose alcohol over them. So when she died, there was a lot of pain, a lot of anger, a lot of resentment. I met her daughter a few months after she died, and her daughter was angry. Like, she couldn't even grieve her mother properly because she was angry with the way her mother's life ended. So a lot of things that we're doing as coping are not actually good for our health. Drinking, drugs, including marijuana, something being legal does not make it good for your body. Poison ivy is legal. That's not good for your body. Rat poison is legal. It's not good for your body. And some of these things we're doing to ourselves, we need to have that same awareness and be careful about how we're looking after ourselves. Because on top of now struggling with substance use, you still have stress, because drinking will not solve your issues at work, or your issues in your marriage, or your money problems, or in fact, drinking will often make all of that worse. But you're picking up the bottle to say, this is how I'm dealing with my stress. I just need to unwind and relax. How is it that you cannot unwind without alcohol? that should be alarm bells. Why can't I relax without a joint? Why can't I relax without drinking? Why can't I relax without eating cake or chocolate or ice cream? So we need to look at our lifestyles and make those healthy adjustments. So chronic stress will often occur frequently with other mental health disorders like anxiety disorder. General anxiety or generalized anxiety disorder, which is abbreviated GAD, GAD. So generalized anxiety disorder is when you have uncontrollable worrying, and stress is uncontrollable worrying. So there's a thin line. If you don't address that stress in time, you can quickly find yourself dealing with an anxiety disorder. So you might worry about bad things happening, about issues, like I said, money issues, work issues, immigration issues, your children, your spouse, your family, whoever it is. And you're constantly worrying. And before you know it, it's got to a point where you're always anxious, always anxious. And sometimes that anxiety, we can't even pinpoint where it's from because it's just been our status quo for so long. You just now feel anxious all the time. And that's what generalized anxiety disorder is. Some of us are already experiencing this type of anxiety disorder, and we're still bragging about, I'm so stressed all the time, my mind never rests, I haven't slept since 1985 and all of this. If that's you, please go and seek the help that you need. So stress can occur frequently or lead to more chronic conditions like generalized anxiety disorder. You can also start to develop a panic disorder. Panic disorder is when you get moments of extreme fear, extreme anxiety, your heart is pounding, you get confused, you can't think straight, you get dizzy. Some people will panic and actually pass out, like lose consciousness because of that state of panic, shortness of breath, and these, you start to have frequent panic attacks. And yet this might have started as stress, that if you had gone to see a physician, made some healthy lifestyle changes, you would not be here today. Stress, I guarantee you, is easier to address on time than anxiety disorder, which might now require medication, which now might impact your ability. I've had students, like even university students, high school students, who are not doing well even in their classes because of anxiety, because of panic. I've taught in a number of universities, higher education, and it's become the norm that students should stand in front of a classroom and make a presentation. And so many of our young people cannot do that because of anxiety. I said last week, we're seeing more and more children and young people diagnosed with mental health issues like depression, like anxiety. And when we're talking about suicide, I also pointed out that we're seeing more and more children below the age of 12, definitely higher rates below the age of 18, self-harming or attempting to take their lives. Stress. And last week I said, if you're a parent, do not take for granted that my kid is only 5 years old or 15 years old. I feed them, I clothe them, there's a roof over their heads, I give them presents on their birthday, at Christmas. What do they have to be stressed about? Check in with your child, you'd be surprised. Especially for children that have access to social media. One of the things that I have noted is how girls, for example, feel pressurized just by social media to be sexy. I've seen little 12-year-olds acting sexy, and it's absolutely confounding. Like, how are you going to be sexy at 12? But that's what they are exposed to on social media, to be popular, to be labeled as talented, good looking, all of this. For some reason, for girls, it comes down to how sexy are you, even at the age of 12, even at the age of 8. This is stressful for kids because, first of all, they're trying to be something that they have no business trying to be. They have no business trying, like a 12-year-old trying to be like sexy, like honesty. Their role models are Rihanna and Beyonce. How is a 40-year-old a role model for a 12-year-old? If you're a parent, monitor the content. And we've talked about this before. We were talking about things that impact mental health, because even as adults, grown people, you spend a day on social media, you're likely to get off feeling depressed, feeling like you're not good enough, you have not succeeded, you're falling behind your peers, your bum isn't right, your neck isn't thick enough if you're a man, all sorts of things. And it's stressful for adults, but we have little children on those same platforms. Trust me, your kids are stressed. If they have access to social media, they are stressed. And you need to check in on them. You need to model for them how to check their own stress levels, how to self-care, how to limit their consumption. Like, teach your kids, if you're on social media and you're watching something and it's starting to make you sad, unhappy, feel like there's something wrong with you, turn it off. Like, turn it off. It means you've had enough for the day. Turn it off. Go and watch Tom and Jerry. Go and watch Mickey Mouse. Go and watch cartoons. Go and watch something that is not shining a light on your lack. So if adults are getting stressed being on social media, I guarantee you, so are children. And so we're having more and more people diagnosed with panic disorders, anxiety disorders, and then also developing phobias, social phobias. I can't be in a crowd. I can't speak in front of my class. I can't go to the party. I can't do this. And then more and more, you find people isolating, not going out, drinking alone at home, smoking marijuana, cigarettes, using other drugs increasingly to try and self-medicate to deal with mental disorders, stress levels, social phobias, all of this. Remember, I said prevention is better than cure. Starts by looking at your lifestyle. What things am I doing that increase my risk for stress, that increase my risk for mental health disorders like anxiety, like social phobias, like panic disorders? We have OCD. And people love to claim, oh my goodness, people love to claim they're OCD. Oh, I'm OCD, so I'm OCD, so. Like, the number of times I hear people say I'm OCD, and I'm looking at them like, you actually have no idea how horrible it is to have obsessive compulsive disorder. It is a horrible, debilitating, limiting limiting condition. People with OCD are not enjoying life because it limits their socializing, it limits their even opportunities in life. So for those of you who like talking about I'm OCD or stop it, cut it out. Like really cut it out. Me personally, it really annoys and irritates me when people do that because you have no idea. And I have seen it in people. It really, really, really impacts their lives in horrible ways. And you are just being a drama queen. You probably are attention seeking. You love attention. So you're bragging about your stress. You're claiming this and that triggers you and have OCD, and stop it. Like, honestly, stop. Because these are real struggles for people. Healthy lifestyles, people, healthy lifestyles. Remember, you can text 437-778-3299 to share your experiences, to share some of your questions, to share some of your comments. We would love to hear from you. 437-778-3299, or you can email infolovebay@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. It's been a while since I sent people to the relationship hour on Sundays. People are not writing anymore, which makes me wonder what you're doing about your mental health. I do think that some of us want to just blame that man you are with, that woman you are with, and you don't actually want to look at yourself, the decisions you make, your daily habits, the lifestyle choices you've made. We would rather blame somebody else. So I'll be here talking about anxiety. They'll then write in and talk about my ex-boyfriend did this, now I have anxiety. Okay, but what are you doing about it besides blaming somebody else? You have to take responsibility for your health, for your mental health. And I'm not saying whatever that ex-boyfriend did doesn't matter. Absolutely, it does. But at the end of the day, you are responsible for your mental health. You are. So you need to make those changes, and you need to make those important decisions about how you will manage your day-to-day life, sleep, exercise, food, relationships, socializing, work, entertainment, all of those things. Promise yourself this week you're going to sit down and really look at your lifestyle, especially if you've noticed you're a stressed out person. There are some things that we cannot change. One of the things, for example, some time ago in a survey, women identified, most women who are parents, mothering, taking care of other people, one of their biggest daily stressors is what's for dinner. Some of us, as soon as, if we have kids, they come home, they're walking through the door, Mom, what's for dinner today? The man walks in, Mom, what's for dinner today? The cat walks in, it's meowing, it wants its food. The dog is scratching, it wants its food. Everyone wants to be fed. And these women who took this survey said that is their biggest daily stressor, feeding everyone in their lives. So a lifestyle change would not be, so I'm going to just starve everyone. It's survival of the fittest. You can't change that. If you have children, cats and dogs, birds and, I don't know, mice that depend on you for their daily food, you cannot shut them off. You cannot put that aside. And that's what I meant by, there's stressors life will give to us. And then there are some stressors we bring on ourselves that we can control. So promise yourself this week you will sit down and you will really, really, really look at your life. What things that have been stressing me out, worrying me all the time, can I change? And change those things. If you can't change it, look at how can I manage this better. Sometimes it's planning. So if you know every day you have to feed 10 mouths, once a week sit down, write out a menu, go grocery shopping. Monday I'm cooking this, Tuesday I'm cooking that. Deal with that stress on one afternoon, figure it out. You know, Monday comes, they're walking through the door, what's for dinner? You even show them what the menu is. Listen, I'm tired of you all asking me what's for dinner. Here's the menu for the week. It's on the fridge. If you don't like what's on it, make alternative plans. So when they start, Mom, what's for? They know it, they will stop mid-sentence and go to the refrigerator and look at the menu you have on there. Sometimes be innovative, be creative, because you can't avoid some stresses in life, but you can manage them better. Okay? Thank you to people that have texted in. I have a few messages here. Crystal from Syracuse. You can text 437-778-3299. We have the Etobicoke Mental Health Association is listening. Barbara from Oklahoma City is listening. So thanks to those of you who are listening. Please get in touch. Sometimes it feels like I'm talking to myself for an hour. I do get tired, so I start stumbling over my words and all of that, because naturally I'm not somebody who can speak nonstop for an hour. So I get exhausted. So it's nice that you can text in, you can email in, send your questions, 437-778-3299. Our time is up. And when we get back to this next week, we're looking in more detail at anxiety disorder, at panic disorder, and we're starting to look at ways to manage those things as well. One of the things that I always say and remind you when it comes to mental health disorders, the sad part is there is no cure. And that's why prevention is better. They can give you medication, you can go for therapy. And what therapy and medication do is not cure them, but help you cope better. And that's why you might find sometimes you get on medication for depression, you're taking it for months. I've known people taking it for years because that's where things brought them. But that doesn't mean you can't have a good quality of life. You still can. A lot of it is about managing stress. A lot of it is about managing those things you can't change, right? How do you manage those things? How do you make them better? How do you cope better? If you went and had 5 kids, I'm sorry, nobody's taking them from you. There's no return to sender. There's no bringing them back to the store. Them 5 kids are yours. Hopefully at 18, they go off to college or university and never come back. But with the way things are these days, they come back. So you can't get rid of your kids and say, that's how I'm going to handle my stressful children. But you can become more organized. You can look for the things that you can change and change those things so that those things that you cannot change are the things that you will cope better. But if there are things you can properly eliminate, do that for sure. Okay? So thank you, Boswell from Southampton. Can stress cause heart problems? Definitely. Stress can cause heart problems. And I said that at the beginning. And I will start there next week. So tune in on time, 6 p.m. Eastern. If you are here in Ontario, we're using Ontario time, 6 p.m. Tune in. I will always start with a recap. So, Boswell from Southampton, I will answer your question. First thing next week, can stress cause heart problems? Most definitely. So, we will recap briefly on stress next week, and then we will talk about anxiety disorders, panic disorders. Maybe we'll start, depending on our time, talking about OCD, post traumatic stress syndrome, or post traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, which a lot of people like to claim as well. Oh, it's my PTSD. Oh, it's my OCD. Please stop doing that, because these are real things that impact people in ways you cannot even imagine. This has been Mental Health Hour with Dr. Tapo. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening in. Thank you for getting in touch. 437-778-3299. infolovebay@gmail.com. Have a great rest of the week, of the month of September, of the year 2024. Be kind and compassionate to each other. Good night.
Awesome.
It's still live.